Okay, well, welcome back to New South Christians. It's a new semester, and we're starting off with somebody that's going to be fantastic. She's in my macroeconomics class now. Her name's Luca Maza. Is that your real name?
It's the name I've chosen to go by. Yeah.
Okay, so you're not going to allow yourself to be defined by the man, huh?
No.
That's what we would call it. Is it okay to ask them, what is your real name? Or what is your other name?
Alyssa, but
Alyssa.
I had some issues with my parents about it, so
Really?
I just don't go by it.
So you just said, I'm setting myself free. I'm
Yes.
gonna, like a bird, I'm going to fly a
Very
different
much so.
direction. Okay. Well, anyway, she's in my macroeconomics class. I was so excited. I've gotten to know her a little bit over the last couple of weeks. We were just talking a second ago about that a lot of the people in class, they're not used to being called on. And I was telling her I like the old way, et cetera. So the fact that she's comfortable talking, she clearly demonstrated that in class. I thought, well, you know, and I love that green hair. I said, the whole vibe just sounds good. So she'll be perfect to start off. So if you want, just go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay, well, I'm Luca. I moved down here from Michigan. I've been all over the place. I moved down here about 4 years ago, and I'm in the Sumner County Middle College High School program, which means I'm leaving the high school I was at, Portland High School, a year early.
Oh, you were the P-Town girl.
Yes.
Jeez. Well, okay, I'll tell you some stories about P-Town another day. But anyway, go for it, yeah. I don't know why I didn't know that. For anybody that's curious, I taught there for a while on 2 separate occasions.
You told us when you met with the middle college.
Yes, I have very strong feelings about Portland.
Me too.
Yeah, but not in a bad way, not in a bad way. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, get carried away.
Yeah, so I live down here now. I've been here about 4 years.
Right.
I've always been ahead of my class. I'm very good at talking. I'm very good at being in front of people. I'm not necessarily a shy person. Yeah, I don't know. I've always been academically ahead as well. So
Okay,
that's
so you
something
joined
why
the
I'm
middle
here.
college, which allows you to accelerate the process and
Yes.
then move on from here. Okay, well, obviously this is called New South Christians, and the thing is, the first time we've done, you're like the 51st or 52nd episode we've done. The first person I had was an atheist. So anyway,
That works.
we've had everybody on the spectrum, and I am so excited to have you here because for me, I mean, I've just been, you know, summer was real slow. We only did a couple of episodes, and so now it's everybody's back on campus, and so I have more people to ask to be on the podcast. So it's very exciting. So I'm glad to have you. So since obviously it's called New South Christians, and obviously you came from another part of the U.S., how would you define your spiritual journey to wherever you are now? And we haven't really talked about it much, so.
Well, do you want me to start from the very start of my spiritual journey and every step that came along the way, or just where I stand
I don't know.
now?
Whatever's the most meaningful to you as far as that defines who you are now.
Well, right now, I'm a Wiccan transferring into Christianity. Originally, I came from Christianity, but
Now,
I'm
an old guy.
God
You're going to have
again.
to help me out. Wiccan. Define Wiccan.
So, Wiccans, they worship the earth. They worship Mother
Okay.
Nature and everyone like that.
Okay.
It's very
Is that more what
earth-centered.
would be defined as a pagan?
Yes.
Because pagans were
It's a
all
different
rooted
branch,
in.
but they're
Okay,
very
didn't-
similar.
Okay, I didn't know. I just knew that pagans, you know, tied to the earth and
Yes.
you know, all the different things that go with it. So, okay, so you're Wiccan evolving or devolving, or what did you just say?
I guess both in the same way. I'm devolving because I was originally a Christian, but I'm evolving because I'm finding my relationship with God and as
Okay.
He is.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. So, how else would you explain that? So, you were in a traditional church
Yes.
and then had a. I've done this a lot, so I've had a lot of people reach this point and say there were some issues, or they'll say, you
There
know,
were plenty of issues.
something happened. I don't know, unless it's really bad or something like that. But so something happened,
Yes.
and so do you want to explain that, or is that?
Well,
You can decide whatever you're comfortable with.
I can explain it.
Yeah.
I grew up an evangelical Christian.
Oh, okay.
I had a lot of rules surrounding what I could do with my hair and my clothing and my body, and my parents basically pushed that there. And that's not something, when I turned 10 years old, I realized I didn't want to love God in that way. So I split off and started looking for my own path, and that's where I found Wiccan.
Okay.
starting into Wicca, I realized it was just loving the earth. And that's something I already did. I've always been a big fan of nature and plants and being outside.
Okay.
But starting now, I'm starting to realize that God isn't actually what was pushed onto me as a child.
Okay.
And it's actually entirely different. And that Wicca isn't necessarily the path I still want to follow. And I want to love God as he is and not what man has created him to be.
Well, you know, one thing, you saying that made me just think, I always do some research, you know, because I've been out of the game here for a minute, so I got to get whatever's due, et cetera. And one of the things you just said was in the research last night, that Gen Z, which is you guys, there's 88 million of you, and that's one of the reasons this podcast was created, because whichever way your generation goes, takes the rest with us eventually.
That's true.
And the thing about your generation, and it echoes what you just said, which is there's a lot of spiritual paths on the way to God, if you want to use that as an example. And so it was broken down into four things. 45% was through prayer. 54% was through nature, which would go back to paganism, I would think.
Absolutely.
So celebrating nature, certain changes in the mood, the tide, all that stuff is tied to a spiritual journey. The other is reading, and 56% was art.
Art makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, see, to me, I'd never made the connection to art, to religion, to my spiritual journey. I mean, other than I had a chance to go to Rome and see the Sistine Chapel, but I mean, I just thought it was beautiful for its art. It didn't leave a spiritual impression on me as far as that goes. So for what you just said, then that's not uncommon for people that they would call in Gen Z.
Not at all.
So you were evangelical for a long time, so then you and your parents had it out, I guess, and you went a different direction?
That's basically it. I had some stuff thrown down with the pastor of the church. I was about 10 or 11 at this time, like I said, and I just realized that's not what I wanted to do. So I had this huge fight with my parents, and even in our house, Christ wasn't really a big thing. They faked being Christians in a way. It was only the holidays and whenever my mother wanted to get into the church choir that she would go to church.
Well, you know what's weird? Another thing, you just hit the nail on the head that we're talking about with Gen Z. It's like, if you have an encounter with God, say you've met me for the first time and I portray myself as a Christian and I'm trying to, testify to you. Well, then you're going to pay attention to me and say, well, does he walk it or is he talking? So let's say you see me on campus later on, and I'm dropping F-bombs and whatever, and you're thinking, okay, he identified himself as a Christian to me. He's out here dropping F-bombs, and then you see me at some local bar doing tequila shots and chasing somebody. I don't know, I'm just, making stuff up. But the bottom line is, am I walking the path I say I am?
You're not.
And it says your generation is looking for the real deal. So they're open to other paths, but at the same time, if it's not real and it doesn't manifest itself as real, you don't have time for it, you're going to call it out.
That's true. In my opinion, our generation has grown up with the electronics. We've seen everything that's fake, and you can see it all. And what all of us are trying to do now is find out actually what's real, especially with the rise in AI. It's very hard to determine.
Now that's interesting. Nobody's ever made that connection before because it's so good at writing, what you want, how you want, or whatever. So are you likening us humans to AI? So
I hate AI.
You hate AI, yeah, but I'm talking about Professor Fuqua billed himself as this, but no, he's not. He's fake behind the scenes. He's this. So, well, are your friends like that too, or do you think that's a generalization or just something unique to you?
I think my friends are like that. I don't try to surround myself with people that aren't like me and don't view the world the same as I do, simply because I don't want falling outs over the smallest little things. Like if I say, I didn't use AI on my essay, and they go, I used AI on my essay, you should have used AI on your essay. And we have a fight over that. I don't want that to happen. So I surround myself with people that don't use AI on their essays.
Okay, so let me go back and finish the spiritual part. So So you have this falling out, you go the separate way. I guess you have a falling out with this pastor, at least your perception of this pastor,
Yes,
right?
definitely.
And then, so are you just kind of drifting for a while?
I was very
Okay.
much so drifting for a while, and then I met a girl in 8th grade who introduced me to Wicca.
Okay.
And I started following her until my now boyfriend invited me to church with him.
Oh, okay. So you got introduced to it, what, in middle school?
Yes.
Wow, that's weird. I guess I haven't had that experience before. I mean, most of mine was traditional, joined the Cub Scouts, which I was kicked out of, by the way, and other things. So, okay, so then your boyfriend invited you traditional church? Or?
Traditional church.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm assuming that's where you are now?
Yes.
So why the leap? Something had to change, right?
I originally went the first week just to make him happy.
Oh, okay.
But when I was there, when I was standing in that room, he wasn't there. He didn't show up that week. He told me he was
So
going,
he invites you
and he
to
didn't show
church that he doesn't show, okay.
Yeah, he said he got busy, but he didn't show up that week. And standing in that room, seeing all of these people around me worshiping the same God in the same place, I felt a draw. And he didn't invite me the next week, but I went on my own. And
Really?
he wasn't there that week either.
Okay.
And it was the same exact draw. And the third week, he
Now,
finally
when you
showed
say
up.
the draw, what's exactly are you describing?
It was like a pole. Like if I had a bracelet on my wrist, it felt like someone in that church had tied a little rope to that bracelet and was
Okay.
pulling me back to church.
Really? So you felt the actual spiritual?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's pretty neat. Yeah.
But I've not missed a Wednesday at church since.
Really? Well, you know, it's funny, in Gen Z, compared to all the other millennials and others, that's something that's changed since the pandemic. Before the pandemic, you weren't going and you
No.
weren't staying because you basically were looking for something different. And you were looking, according to the research I did, you were looking for something real. And it wasn't happening. But now, since then, the Gen Z group has been going back to church at a faster rate than any
For
other
sure.
group.
Yes.
And as far as a weekly attendance, they're the highest of any of them. So, but they're not coming back, according to what I read, and they're for sure. It's just part of the other choices that are out there that they're also looking. So, if I'm seeing God through art, I haven't abandoned art just simply because I've gone back to this traditional church on Wednesday night.
No.
It's still part of the spiritual journey.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was interesting.
It is. Some of the other things that point out to it are a lot of the movies that I grew up watching. Like Lord of the Rings has always been my favorite movie.
Oh,
It is
that's
an allegory for Christ.
It's a great movie, too.
It is. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. But it truly is an allegory. If I started watching it, I think in February after I started going to church, and I started realizing all of the tugs along the lines of the movie that actually show Christianity and Christ. in
Really?
it.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you continued going to, did the boyfriend ever show up to church?
He did, on the
Okay,
third
so
week.
He finally made it, huh? Okay, so then he arrived. So you've been going to this church, non-denominational or?
Yes. It's called Generation Church. It's in Portland.
You know what? I think I had a young lady last year in economics. I believe she got, gosh, I wish I could remember her name. She was great still, funny as all get out. But I think she went to Generations, and there was another young Hispanic girl I had that I believe goes there, and I think her brother does some of the technology stuff
That's good.
for the church. Yeah, I never had him in class, but I had her. She was real nice too. But they mentioned that church and that they were real active in going out to the community and doing stuff.
Yes.
Is that true?
That is very true.
Okay.
There's a strawberry festival in Portland every year.
Oh, yeah.
And the church grabs volunteers from the student section, and they volunteer to run the buses and load people onto the buses. It's very good. And they have a lot of outreach programs, and there's a lot of things that when you're older you can go out and do with the pastors and the leaders of the church.
Okay.
Plenty.
Wow, that's pretty good. Now, you mentioned specifically Wednesday night, but not Sunday?
I go Sundays, but I have, to be honest, missed a few Sundays.
Okay. Well, trust me, the statistics on your attendance, even though for Gen Z it's high, it's not like blowing the top off the roof. The fact that you're missing is okay. The other groups are missing more.
Yeah.
So as far as that. Well, something else that was in here, I'll ask you since it's your age group, they also talked about, so they're looking for fakes. They're looking for, if you're not walking, the pastor, really keep an eye on him.
That's for sure.
Exactly. We've also, last year, a lot of women are leaving the church in general because they're being left out of positions of authority and leadership and the ability to do that.
For sure.
And that's something that really bothers them. Is that true at the church you're at, or how do you feel about that?
Honestly, I know that I'll never truly be in a position of authority at my church.
Okay.
So I'm not actively looking for it.
Okay.
But in the church that I go to, we have women that speak
Right.
on the stage. And a lot of the church that I grew up in, evangelical, women weren't allowed to speak. And
Oh, yeah. So it
they
was
were allowed to be,
hardcore, huh?
they were allowed to stand in the box of the choir, but they weren't allowed to be on the stage playing
Yeah.
music.
Uh-huh.
But at Generation, women are included in almost everything. They have
Wow.
women's nights on Tuesdays, and they're completely intertwined in the church. They're seen as equal.
Okay, well, that's awesome. Well, the other thing, some of the other things I was looking at now I wanted to ask you about is that when you start thinking about, the spiritual thing and your age group, a lot of people are worried about, where are we going? Because, like, for example, the other thing that they're looking for is community. And that seems to be a difficult thing. And from being in my class, it's something I rail against. I always talk about how few of you know the people sitting on your left or right or in front of you or behind you.
Yes.
And it just drives me crazy because I'm like, how could you sit within 3 feet of people and never introduce yourself? And I'm talking about, I've had students go fall and spring semester, I'll have them in macro and micro and still not know the person sitting next to them. And I'm just like, I don't understand that. Can you explain that to me?
To me, I feel like it's the phones. There's
So
phones,
I have a
electronics
phone.
everywhere.
Hello, Luca. I mean, how long does it take? 2 seconds for me to say hello? How are you?
I normally say hello to the people that sit around me, but I don't know
Okay,
their
well,
names.
at least you say hello. All right.
I say hi. I'm just
Okay.
like, good morning
All
to
right.
the person I don't know his name. To the person on my left every morning, I go, good morning. But that's all that's ever come out of that.
But you never get further than that, huh?
No.
Okay, well, maybe I'm asking a hard question. How do you create community with no conversation?
You have to have conversation.
Well, then why can't we? Okay.
It's the phones.
Okay, so you're saying, well, go ahead and just explain a little more. So maybe you.
I have community at the church I go to because
Okay.
everybody puts their phone away when we're there.
Oh, I didn't
But
know that.
In
Okay.
class or in the middle college, we're all on our separate devices and
Mm-hmm.
we're not speaking to each other just because we don't have the incentive to feel the same thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm at church. I feel that I want to be at the stage. I want to be praising.
Okay.
I want to be there. And I don't have my phone on me, and nobody else has their phone on me. On them, sorry.
Okay.
But in the middle college, everybody's doing their homework or speaking to other people, like on text or on phone calls. And
Right.
it's just not very centered because we don't have a center of the room.
Mm-hmm.
At church, God would be the center,
Right.
if that makes sense.
So we got to create a center in the room to force you to do
I
this?
suppose so.
I don't know if that's going to happen. Yeah. Well, anyway, the other thing, so they were talking about community, but then they were also talking about that they don't want to just sit in church and have a sermon to them, that they want to participate.
I like both.
Yeah, but they want to participate in church. They want to have, opportunities to not just serve, but to lead too. And then the other thing is, since your generation loves technology so much, which is obvious, how do you use that technology to create that community?
Honestly, I met all of my friends without technology. I didn't meet them online. I met them face to face, and we just learned to speak to each other without being on our phones.
Uh-huh.
That's just not something
So
we
when
do.
you're sitting around with them, do you put them away, or
Yeah.
do you? Okay,
We put
so
them away and we talk.
Okay, so
We have fun.
So maybe we need to put you in charge of how to use your phone appropriately. You could be the phone. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Well, the mean person.
I'll walk
Go-
around with a bucket and take them
and
up
a
at the start of
taser.
class.
You can taser people that are not doing that as far as that goes. All right. So anyway, so how would you approach, like, this article was talking about how a lot of the pastors are out of touch. In other words, if I'm trying to attract you, You're the number one person coming to the churches now in terms of growth, et cetera. We know you're looking for authentic, so we have to keep an eye on that. What else can I do to get you to come to church with other people and grow a church into your generation?
Well,
so you're the advisor.
Yes. At Portland High School, the pastor from Generation Church came in and led FCA, which is Future Christian Athletes, every Wednesday or Friday morning, depending which day it was. And even while he was giving his sermons at the church, he directly relates things that happen in his life to things that happen to us. And so he's sharing part of his soul, his personal experiences with the students and the youth that are in this church, simply so they keep coming back. Because if I had a pastor that was simply speaking from the Bible, which he does speak from the Bible, but it's simply that, and he's not giving me any of his life experience, I'm not going to feel like I want to attend this church. I'm going to feel like, oh, I'm just listening to him read from a book. I could go home and read my own Bible, which I do, but it's not the same way as a pastor reading and relating his experience to the Bible and what he's truly preaching about.
So you want that personal connection through the stories?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay.
Because if there's nothing that you can relate in your life to something in the Bible, you're not going to have very much interest in the Bible. It's like that with everything. If I can't relate to you, I'm not going to have much interest in you. If I can't relate to this book I'm reading, I'm not going to be interested in reading this book. But it's like that all around. And there's so many things that people are missing out on just because they're not really putting their personal experience into what they're doing.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you as far as that goes. So how does a pastor cultivate that then? If I understand that, so you're talking about the sharing of the personal experiences, et cetera, and things like that. So I have to go out of my way and just target your group and do that. But is there a way you can use the technology to create the community, to keep you together? Because obviously a lot of people, I mean, just trying to get enough people to stay off the phone during class is hard enough. And I feel pretty successful compared to most. A lot of my fellow faculty, they just give up.
There's definitely a lot of ways that he keeps us off of our phones during the service.
Right.
I mean, there's music and there's lights, which it's all fun, but you're truly there in that moment. And some people, they will be on their phones, but it's obviously very disrespectful to the church. But a way that he has us off of our phones is they're just not included. He asks us all to stand up when we pray. We do everything that seems like a normal adult church life, but he's a youth pastor, so he's relating himself to the youth.
Sure.
But the way that he does use technology, we have messaging apps for the church telling us where we're meeting, what time, and
I was going to ask you,
Yes.
I was assuming that seems to be the thing everybody's doing now. And it's a way you communicate back and forth to each other and stay in touch. And
And if you're missing out on these communication apps, like we have this app called Band. It's Band Together. It's all from the church.
Okay.
Very nice. They tell us where we meet, and if you miss church, you get a recap of what happened during our little youth group and the big youth meeting. We have this thing called BOTS. It's a youth retreat. That's in November.
Okay.
And we get updates on that and all of that information. So there is an incentive to be on your phone at times, but never during everyone being in that big room.
But does that app or the other stuff you're describing, is that something where I would, let's say if I'm in this group with you, where you and I would stay in touch also?
Yes.
So it's another form of social media where we can reach out to each other.
Absolutely.
So it's not just somebody sitting at the church sitting out, hey, reminder, this is this,
No.
this is that.
In the messaging, everyone can speak to one another, and you can also find someone's specific tag and message them individually if you have something different to say.
Well, you know, another thing in the research I saw, they were talking about discipleship. In other words, connecting on another level people to the church and to each other that are Christians.
Yes.
That is something that your generation really values and likes. And after hearing you talk about the personal side of it, I can see where that would be added to it.
Yes.
So is that important to you, or do y'all practice any form of discipleship? Or
The church does plenty of discipleship on its own, I'm pretty sure. But at my age, you have to be 18 to go on any of their discipleships, and I'm 17. I also feel like
I didn't know how that. Okay.
I haven't been going to the church that long. And although it's been something that my grandmother did, she went on mission trips all over the place, to Haiti, everywhere. She loved to help people. She was a doctor. I'd like to follow in her footsteps.
Okay.
But discipleship doesn't seem right to me just yet, because I'm obviously very new to the church, and although I feel maybe somewhat of a stronger pull than most of the people that go there all the time, maybe that's just because I'm new.
Yeah.
And it's more of a tug to get me truly going and attending this church every Wednesday, Sunday,
Well,
than all
I
the
will
people
tell
who
you
just have
this.
to have the little
I
pull.
went on my first mission trip a couple of years ago to Guatemala. I'm going to talk about changing your life. I came back. David left. Somebody else came back, because the little kids and everything, it was really it's a spiritual thing that just, I don't know. It's hard to put into words. I just know I've never felt the same. If I'm having a bad day, since you've got me in class, all I have to do is pause for a moment, think about those kids, and then all of a sudden it all goes away, because you're truly blessed.
Yes.
And so, don't forget. I'd like to go on some more as far as that, but now we're getting off subject. All right, a couple more things, and we'll wrap it up. Something else that I found very interesting in here was talking about, have you ever heard of what's called the Asbury Revival?
No.
Okay, well, it was a couple of years ago, and it's a small Christian college in Kentucky.
Right.
And basically what happened was, I know you know what a revival is, right?
Yes.
It's a move of the Spirit. It can manifest itself in many ways. But anyway, I heard about it. I admit this. I lied, canceled my classes at Vol State, got in the car and went tearing off, and got to this campus in this small town. And I mean, there were literally tens of thousands of people there from all over the world. And it had started because a group of students were doing praise and worship in the morning as part of their normal routine. And it's like the Spirit descended on this place, and people just felt drawn to it from all over the world. And I'm standing in a line like 10 wide and thousands deep, people from Brazil, all over. And I said, why are you here? And they said, we just felt led to be here. And then you went into an auditorium that had about 2,000 seats, and as people would leave, you could come in. Oh my gosh. When I stepped in, you could just feel the Spirit drop on you.
That's wonderful.
It's no preaching. It's all student-led, young people, praise and worship music. And the reason I say that is because a lot of people believe that your generation will experience that, and it will break out at many places. And so I found this really neat thing. They were talking about Asbury. If you look into the Bible, Jesus came from Nazareth.
Yes.
Nazareth was considered I don't want to say Portland, but anyway, some on the side of the road joint, in the middle of nowhere is Nazareth. Nothing good's going to come out of Nazareth. And then at the same time, who did Jesus pick to follow him? Fishermen, common people. He didn't pick like a famous Roman or something like that.
Right.
So you didn't come from Rome. You came from some little small redneck town. You're not an elite person or somebody famous. You're just an average kind of person. That's just not the way Jesus rolled.
That's true.
And so I think about that sometimes. I think about your generation. Do you think those type of revivals would be the kind of thing? Because they'll pop up everywhere.
I think genuinely that the revivals are good, and they really set what people kind of want to look for, especially the one you just mentioned.
Right.
Being in a room and you feel the Spirit.
Oh, man, yes.
It's nothing like going to a regular church. You can feel the Spirit when you're in the passage, but it's not all around you, and you have people that directly speak it out. It's not the same thing at all.
Yeah, but it's overwhelming, because when you feel, and I hate to always say you feel it, because that makes it sound like it's all just a feeling type thing. You just know there's something inside you that's changing in that moment, that isn't you. It's not, and it wasn't adults at all. It was truly just these students, and they started praise and worship. And I mean, think about it. It lasted for over 16 days, 24 hours a day, and they just kept coming. And they shut it. I disagreed with why they shut it down, but anyway, they shut it down because obviously it was still a college functioning like that. But I thought, if I'm a Christian college and truly the Spirit has descended on this place, what are 16 days? I can't imagine something more important than that. So I'd be that. But anyway, after that, the same thing happened at Florida State, outside of a building in London, Ohio State University. In other words, there's a lot of campuses where it was a student-led, student-initiated revival that popped up. Now, I wouldn't expect you to know this, but have you ever heard of a movie called The Jesus Revolution?
I have heard of it.
Have you never watched it?
I've watched very small clips standing in the kitchen when I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, that's a true story. And it is really a cool thing. A lot of people feel like, you were talking about the 70s, enjoying 70s music. The Jesus Revolution was the great revival of the 70s. And that's why I remember it so well, because I was, in fact, I was probably your age of the 70s, and I remember it well. My brother went to a tent meeting, got filled with the Holy Spirit, totally evangelical thing, and has walked that path ever since then. Good. So the 70s were wild on the spiritual side. You had the whole Jesus thing and the one way and all that kind of stuff. And if you go out to California, which I've done many times, there's a place where they baptize thousands. It's called Pirates Cove. And it's really, really interesting as far as that goes.
It sounds very interesting.
Oh, it is. It's great. All right, a couple more things, then we'll let you go. And I'm just curious, what do you think happens to you after you die?
It depends on what you've done in life. Well,
you think it's all based on my behavior while I was alive?
Yes.
All right, go for it.
I used to believe that we would be reincarnated as completely different people.
Really?
But yes.
Am I evolving from a lower form, or am I?
Well,
or I'm just another new person altogether?
You're just another new person. You're just kind of you, and then you're dead, and then you're alive. I don't know. But you're not the same person, and you don't have the same memories. But honestly, I don't think that anymore.
Okay, so where are we now?
Genuinely believe that anyone who chooses to actually walk the path with Christ and not speak it is going to have heaven and not go down.
Not go down. Okay.
But
well, I'm going to ask you about the other two, so go for it.
It's hard to explain on where my mind is. I know where it is. I know how a lot of Christians see it as, oh, you did this one thing in life, you're going to go down. You're doing this, you're going to go down. But if you genuinely believe in the Word of God, and you've genuinely accepted that He's going to save you, and you're walking the path with Him, you're going to go to heaven. That's what I feel.
So what do you think hell is?
Well, I've been told it's a place you burn for eternity. And I've been told that I was going to burn for eternity.
But you don't believe that now, right?
Okay. I never believed it. I think it's crazy. Honestly, I believe that it's kind of your own personal torment. I don't think you're going to burn.
Okay.
But you're going to feel empty.
Well, there's a lot of different interpretations I've heard of. I had a guy from the middle college. His name was Hayden Humphreys. Or Aiden, sorry, Humphreys. And he was one of my favorites. And when he was on the podcast, he was just so fascinated with heaven and hell. That's what he wanted to talk about. And I thought, wow, Aiden, you're really intense into this. But just a great guy. So that's why I thought I'd ask you. I haven't done that in a while. So it was pretty cool. All right, so before we wrap it up, so where do you think you're headed?
I think...
Is this your first year at the middle college or your last year?
It is my first and last year.
Okay. Oh, so you're just a 1 year and done. Okay. So what's next?
I'm going to become a doctor. Right now, I'm on the path for pre-medicine. I'm going to go... My plan is to go to Olivet Nazarene in Illinois.
I know. Okay. I went to the Nazarene school down in Nashville for a very short period of time. When I decided I wanted to teach. It was the fastest path and the cheapest I could go on at the time. And so Trevecca, Nazarene College, I had a good experience there, real positive. So why Olivet?
They have a very nice campus. It's
Okay.
far out of the city. It's about
Okay.
2 hours away from Chicago.
Okay.
My aunt lives in Chicago. She's someone I've always loved and wanted to be close to.
Oh,
And all of
okay.
it just has this sort of calling to me. I don't
Okay.
know how to explain.
No, I
I got
understand.
sent a pamphlet in the mail, probably based on my ACT score. And this
So you had good ACTs and all of it
I had
came
a
for you, huh?
29 on my ACT.
Well, that's very good.
My
That's
first
very
ACT,
good.
now I have a 32.
Okay. Well, that puts you in the right
That puts me in the
stratosphere.
right stratosphere.
Yeah.
But all of it, it's just always seemed very nice to me, and
Okay.
somewhere I've just wanted to go.
Okay. I didn't know if there was a connection between that and the Nazarenes for you.
Well, kind of.
Okay.
A little bit. I feel like there's a Nazarene church in Portland that I attended once.
Oh, okay.
But it's not the one I choose to attend anymore, simply because I don't have my people there.
Okay.
But their sort of motto kind of thing is that they love everybody, no
Okay.
matter what kind of way it is. There was a Nazarene pastor up in Michigan a couple months ago that my grandmother told me about, because she's from there, who his son came out as gay, and everyone thought that his father was going to kick him out of the church, but he didn't, because you're supposed to love everybody.
Wow.
And judgment isn't for us. it's
Now,
for God.
that's one thing I didn't ask you that I used to always ask, which is how do you balance the, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered thing with church?
Honestly,
Because obviously that's very important, at least it pops up in all the
Yes.
data collections on your generation, so,
yes. I know that I'm not supposed to judge people.
right.
I actively try not to judge people or
Okay.
be too unkind to them. I've
Okay.
never seen gay people or lesbian people or bisexual, transsexual people as sinners. I don't
Okay.
see that being gay is a sin, although there are some quotes in the Bible that people will pull and say that, oh, this is a sin.
Right.
And one of the main things is about pedophilia,
Right.
and that if God gave a man the ability to love another man, then he gave the man the ability to love a child. But love is consensual and informed and non-exploitive, so that kind of erases that.
Okay.
But honestly, as a Christian, I want to see all of the people who see themselves that way,
Right.
either gay, transgender, bisexual, any of that, comfortable in their own body and comfortable in their own person.
Okay.
Because I know that I've been shunned from being my own person before,
Right.
and it's not a very nice feeling. I want them to be comfortable the way that they are and the way that they want to be seen.
Well, and the Great Commission is to go out and share the word
Yes.
with the world, et cetera, and to love your neighbor as yourself, et cetera. So, I mean, that's one thing about your generation, the passion on that one issue. And once again, it's like you started with, you're not you're not God, you're not the judge
Yes.
of other people, but I'm still supposed to love them, and do those things. Well, that's pretty interesting. I like that.
I've
All right,
seen-
I already forgot. Now, there was one last thing I was going to ask you, but then when you popped that one on me, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, I got to focus here. Well, anyway, all right, but anyway, that's about all the time we got today. I was probably a little rusty, so I apologize for that. But anyway, I really appreciate Luca decided to come on, and we always do this before we leave. We always end on a positive note, and you get to do it. So
Oh, how do I do that?
I don't know, but is there something positive you're feeling or you're experiencing, or
I've always-
something that's happened? If you want to explain to me, I've always wanted to know why the green hair.
I love the color green.
I know, but you've had green hair since I met you the first day of class.
I've had green
You've been
hair
to
for 2
every
years.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Did you just show up this year and go, I'm going green, or
Well, I want to be comfortable in my person. I've seen
Okay.
enough hatred in the world to know that I'm supposed to love everybody, everything,
Okay.
everything that I can.
All
I
right.
don't want to hate anybody. I don't want to dislike anybody.
okay, where's that go? The green hair.
I've seen people who dislike me genuinely because of my appearance.
Because you're green hair.
I've been asked to leave 7 churches just because I don't look like a conventional Christian.
Because of your hair?
Because of my hair.
No, come on.
Because
Really?
yes, I'm being completely honest.
Oh,
I've been
my
asked to
gosh.
leave 7 different churches.
I've got to ask. I don't want to know the names of the churches, but how do I, so I'm a pastor and I approach you, or I'm a youth pastor and I say, Luca, we're glad to have you, but you need to shed the green?
My favorite one was, a lot of our people don't seem comfortable with you being here. and that was a.
Oh, that's the comment. A lot of they don't feel comfortable with you being here.
They don't feel comfortable with me.
Did they
being
associate
here.
green with a negative connotation?
I just don't look like someone who would be a Christian, I suppose.
Oh, I don't know. I've taught for so long. I've had so many different colors of hair. That's never bothered me. I was focused on other things like, are you thinking about what we're talking about? Trying to make you a better student, a better person, so you can achieve your dreams. I hadn't really thought about. I didn't care what color your hair was. If you were a good student, you were intelligent and curious, I couldn't care less.
I guess the way that they see me is they see me that I'm obviously expressing the way that I feel about myself inside to my outside because I'm green. But I guess they see me as somebody who doesn't love the way that they do or see the world the way they do just because I'm different and colorful and bright.
All right, then I'll tell you, we'll end on a happy note saying Luca's okay green. For anybody that hasn't met her yet, she's a super nice person, and I think you'd love to meet her. So anyway, well, thanks for agreeing to do it. You were the first one.
I'm very happy to.
Well, you were the first one this year, so you set the standard
I'm honored.
now. Okay, anyway. All right, well, God bless you. We'll look forward to our next guest, which I'm not sure who that is, but we got a lot of people that have interest. So thanks a lot.